What's going on? It's Jason Heath, and I've been getting a lot of questions recently about what camera I'm using to record these videos, so I thought I'd take a moment and just show you exactly what I'm using. I went down the camera rabbit hole in mid-2019. I decided I just wanted to make better videos, and I was so sick of these grainy iPhone videos from my XR. After watching a ton of reviews, I settled on the Canon EOS M50, started buying some lenses for it, some microphones for it. So what I'm using right now is the 22mm prime lens. I think it's an f2 or something like that. So it takes in a lot of light. It works well even if you're not in super bright lighting conditions. And I'll kind of show you what I'm filming in right now so you can see. But this has been great as just kind of an all-purpose lens. It takes great photos too. It works well with the base. I do use an 11 to 22mm when I want to get my entire body in the frame for the base, or if I want some of that YouTube perspective. But the lens I have, it's a little bit of a darker lens, but the 11 to 22mm, I think it's an f4.5 or something like that, or f5. It does not hold up very well in low light, which is a bummer, and it's expensive. This lens is like half the cost. So I totally love this 22mm, and I really enjoy the Rode VideoMic Pro, which is on the camera right now. That was a game changer because I am right now about this far away from the camera, something like that. It picks up my voice well without me having to get out a lavalier or do anything like that. It removes some of the roadblocks between having the idea and actually getting the gear set up to make it happen. Okay, this is with everything exactly the same. I'm still using the Rode VideoMic Pro, but I have on the kit lens that came with the camera. This is the 15 to 45mm, and I have it right now kind of in the middle, don't I? Yeah, so here is 15, and it's got a little bit of that YouTube-y look, you know, but you can tell the background's not as separated. It's not quite as sharp as the 22mm. I can zoom in, so it's kind of useful. That's obviously way too close, but it's a good all-around lens. It's made of plastic, so it feels a little bit on the cheap side, but it's certainly a good starter lens. Certainly looks miles better than the crappy XR footage that I was getting in my dark San Francisco place. Okay, everything is the same except now I've got my 11 to 22mm on, and you can see that you've got this much wider shot here, and I would probably rearrange things because I'm sort of enjoying that 22mm shot for these talking head videos. I can zoom in certainly here, and certainly you can tell it looks fine, but it certainly doesn't have the definition, the bokeh in the background that the 22mm has. This lens is great for when I'm trying to play bass because I can, you know, I'm not far from the camera at all, and this will get my whole body and the bass in the frame, no problem. It's a useful lens. I'm just not using it as much as I thought I would, and it's twice the cost of the 22mm. So while the 22mm is a prime lens, I'm stuck with that focal length. It's a really nice focal length. So this is quite useful. Is it that much better than the 15 to 45 to warrant getting it? Well, kind of. I mean, if you like having these really wide shots, I guess I'm glad I have it, but I don't use it quite as much as I thought I was going to. Here's another shot with the 11 to 22, and all I did was unplug the Rode VideoMic Pro, so you're hearing the in-camera audio, and you can see, or hear rather, why you would want to upgrade your audio. This is not good audio, and nothing is a bummer like bad audio. I'd rather have mediocre video and good audio, certainly as a musician, but probably for most circumstances. So Rode makes many microphones. You can mount them on the camera like I've got here. The VideoMic Pro definitely performs better than some of the other ones that I was checking out. It seems like a good compromise, and again, it just gets me going nice and quickly when I'm making content. Okay, here I am, similar placement, but on the iPhone 10, and you can see the difference in quality, I imagine, but I'm shooting this so that I can show you the gear, because I only have the one camera. Here's the M50. I'll take off the video mic. One of the things about this camera, it really only shoots in 1080p. It does have a 4K mode that's extremely limited. It doesn't have image stabilization, so for me, it's essentially a useless feature. I think it's just so that Canon can say they have 4K. But you know, if you have good lights and you have decent lenses, 1080p looks pretty good. My eye must not be trained well enough, but I have a hard time differentiating if someone's shooting in 4K or 1080p. And I've watched a bunch of AB videos on 4K screens, and I can barely tell the difference. So For the price, I think new, this is $650 for the camera plus the 15 to 45 millimeter kit lens. I think that the results I get are, I think it's money well spent. I don't know if I'd want to spend to go the next level up to get something that's really shooting 4K. You're looking at well over $1,000 at least based on the research I've done. So a few of the things I like about this camera, it's small. It's because it's mirrorless. It is a fairly small camera, and if I take off the lens, you can see that's the camera body. It comes with this 15 to 45 millimeter, which looks okay, certainly good enough, and I shot some of my first videos on that, and I thought, yeah, looks okay, but I knew I could go deeper. So I ended up, I have a few other lenses I'm not showing you because I don't really use them, but this 22 millimeter prime lens has really been great for me. As long as I've got good lighting, and I need to get some new lights, by the way, but this is what the place looks like. The lighting is okay. There's this really bright window, which can be hard, and then it just gets darker and darker. So I've got this just like super cheap umbrella light that I really need to replace, and I kind of ring light. So I don't look too shadowy and weird. I have to make sure I block off the reflection with my head when I'm sitting here at the table. Even if I didn't have these lights on, this 22 millimeter looks pretty good. The lens that I use a lot, although if I had to pick, I would take the 22 millimeter prime lens over this. I use this 11 to 22 for a lot of stuff. If you go down to 11, it gets that kind of YouTube look, and it's just practical for a bass player because I can keep the camera pretty close to me, and I can go to 11 millimeters, and you can see my bow arm and my left hand, and I don't have to get a lavalier mic or that kind of thing. When I'm recording my bass, the other thing I do is I use my Zoom H6. I have this XY. I have just a little selfie stick, and I put that on the ground relatively close to the lower bout on my bass, and that gets some good audio, and then I just sync it all up in Premiere Pro, and then I get my voice out of this, and then I get the good bass sound here, and yeah, you're getting a little bit of bass in the VideoMic Pro, but whatever, I'm not gonna tweak that too much. It seems to work out pretty well. Okay, there's a look inside what I'm using these days. Hope you found this helpful. Hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't, and we'll see you in the next video.